Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Before we get started with today's episode, I would like to thank today's sponsor, and that is ʻThe Diamonds, the world's most sustainable diamonds and the only diamonds that are actually good for the planet. ʻThe creates the world's first positive impact diamonds made from air through a process that removes harmful air pollution, captures the carbon from it, and retasks the carbon to a higher purpose in their one-of-a-kind diamonds. These are 100% real diamonds with real impact. In fact, every carat of ʻThe diamonds offsets your personal carbon footprint for over a year. They're some of the highest quality diamonds you could buy, and certified by IGI, the world's largest independent laboratory for testing and grading gemstones and fine jewelry. Now you're no longer stuck having to choose between mined and regular lab-grown diamonds, both of which harm the environment. ʻThe offers the only truly sustainable diamonds on the market, requiring no ethical or environmental trade-offs. They're the only guilt-free diamonds available in the world. To learn more about these revolutionary diamonds from air, visit their website at ʻThediamonds.com. That's ʻThe spelled with an A-E. And follow them on social media at ʻThe Diamonds. ʻThediamonds at ʻThe Diamonds. All right, and now let's go on to the show.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC'S KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest, Trav Bell. Trav is the bucket list guy, the world's #1 bucket list expert. As a self-appointed bucket listologist, Trav helps people live their bucket list before it's too late. His unique life engagement message really wakes you up, stops Groundhog Day, and helps you to experience more fulfillment. He says a bucket list is a tangible life plan where our business plan or career plan should fit into our life plan and not be the other way around. Oh, I love this. This is so right on point for now. No one practices what they preach more than Trav. His crazy, globe-trotting adventures are contagious, hilarious, and fresh. He is the author of the best-selling book, the MY BUCKETLIST BLUEPRINT, a TEDx Thought Leader, a certified speaking professional, and is also the founder and CEO of Bucket List Coaches, who are now on a mission to help 10 million bucket listers. All right, welcome to the show, Trav.
Sheila, stoked to be on. That intro is like someone wrote it for you and sent it to you. That was amazing. Yeah. Did you just do that off the top of your head?
Right. Yeah. Yes. And with the words in front of me.
Yes.
And now this show is actually based on my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And we have had just about every situation over the last couple years now almost. So I'd love for you to share with the audience about a time in your business or personal life where you experienced a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Well, I mean, you could say right now, because we've all had to adjust, we've all had to innovate, we've all had to adapt, and now we're doing things like this, radically collaborating. around the world. Right now we were, I wouldn't be the only business. Think of it. For the last 10 years, I've been known as the bucket list guy, running around the world as a keynote speaker at big conferences around the world. Now, how many big conferences have been going on in the last 12 to 18 to 2 years? So one, people aren't getting together. And how much bucket listing, in terms of travel and stuff anyway, do you reckon anyone, let alone me, has done in the last, 2 years? Hardly anything. So right now has actually been quite a testing time. And it's, so why not talk about it? Look, I've been through mental health. I've been through depression. And that's actually what led me to be known as the bucket list guy. I real quick backstory on that. I was the founder franchisor of a chain of personal training studios. I grew that from one client up to tens of thousands of clients around Australia. It was the biggest personal training company in Australia, first to franchise. And I built it into a monster, let some cancerous kind of people in, some crap went on in my life, a bit of a downward spiral, suffered from depression, albeit mild. But instead of going on heavy antidepressants and putting a Band-Aid over the top of it, I decided to really get to the root cause of what I was going through. So that's where I found myself going to, Sheila, if you put on a course back then, I would have done it. I would have run to the back of the room and upgraded, and I would have upgraded from that one. I would have done it. I just went crazy, and I did work some stuff out. But it was about a year and a half into that journey. A friend of mine said, and I've done the Burning Man, the ayahuasca, all the working on fire, all the personal development you can do. And a friend of mine said, hey, you're in all this stuff all the time. Why, you've invested a bunch of money. Why don't you teach this? And so that was the big light bulb moment for me, how I turned the pain into I guess, pleasure. And it helped me compartmentalize what I was actually going through at the time. I put on a talk, and then I nearly had to pay the 40 people to come to that talk. And then I started in that talk, I packaged everything I've been learning, and what I've been learning is positive psychology, NLP, life coaching, all of this stuff, and put all that into the talk. And then during it, I actually started sharing the fact with everyone, this is only 10 years ago, the fact that I'd had a list, to do before I die, actually written down since I was 18. And no one knew this about me. And then it inspired the group. And then right at the end of it, someone said, oh, how's all this list to do before you die stuff? It's really, pumped everyone up. It's like a bucket list. You're like the bucket list guy. And I went, pung, light bulb moment. I went home that night and registered the bucket list guy. And I've been doing that ever since. So, from tragedy to triumph, before and after. And at the end of the day, subsequently, it's helped so many people, this message, and especially right now, during COVID and lockdowns and everyone in this turmoil and despair and the mental health perfect storm that we've found ourselves in recently and still going through. So I like to think that this has helped be the light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of people, especially myself.
Yes, yes. For me, I look at my past and all the interesting things I went through, and I think, oh my goodness, that was preparing me for all this. I got this, no problem, because everything else is like, no problem, I got this. And so that's something, when we look at our past experiences as a gift, it changes the whole situation. Now,
yeah, and I think it's I think going to another level on that, and what you're doing as well, is you're taking your past experiences, you've learned from them, but you're also paying it forward. And I think that's where, that's the holy grail. I think that is where true self-actualization really starts to occur, because I've always said, if you've gone through stuff in your life, there's so many lessons, but if you don't pay forward those lessons to someone else, your former self in need, who needs to hear this stuff right now, I think you're really, you're not of service, to the world. The fact that you're putting it in books, in podcasts, in events, in a show like, that's what it's all about. You've got to pay these listeners forward. And there's only a few people that actually do that. And I think it's extremely brave and exactly what we need to be doing. And you heal yourself so much more by paying it forward, right?
Yes, so true. So I did this consulting training and breakthrough training with Tony Robbins. And one of the things on his RMT training, they show these videos, and every video he was doing a breakthrough. It was actually called a breakthrough series. And I think it actually went on TV as well. But these breakthroughs, he would work with people that were really depressed. Something terrible happened, which happens in life. And to everybody at one point or another, if you live long enough. And something terrible happened to this couple or this person or whatever. And the first thing he would do was challenge them to go and give back. And he'd say, get out of your heart and into your, get out of your head and into your heart and go help other people. And you could see how it was part of the healing process for sure.
It definitely is.
It really is, because you can't be giving and in this beautiful state of love and helping others and depressed at the same time.
Yeah, but depression, and this might ring true for a lot of people that are watching and listening to this right now, that it's very hard when you're in that state, that acute state, that it's very hard to get out of your own way.
Oh yeah.
You kind of got to force it. And Tony Robbins says, it's motion before emotion. And you need to take action, even though your brain is saying, no, stay where you are, You just got to force the activity, and the psychology will catch up. So even though you might be in a place where you don't want to pay it forward to anyone, it's like, this is all about me. That is the vicious circle that we find ourselves in. You can go around and round and round, but what's going to break that cycle? And it is, unfortunately, it is pain that that moves people forward. That's 20 years in personal fitness training. Yeah. It's pain that motivates people to walk into your personal training studio, into the gym. It's pain that motivates us, unfortunately. But as you get more exposed to these pains, these uncomfortable situations, you've got an ability to be resilient and bounce back a hell of a lot faster, I think, too. Which is, and I think, the benefit of COVID and everything that's going on is, we've had to adapt, we've had to innovate, and we've probably shown ourselves that we're a hell of a lot more resilient than we have been, up until now. I can do this. I have adapted. Oh my God. And then because collectively around the world, we've all been given this opportunity. We're all in the same boat. No one's, when you're in a depressed state, it's you against the world. You're comparing your behind the scenes footage with someone else's highlights reel. Right. But now it's like we're all in the same boat together. It's like, what are you going to out complain me about how bad Corona is? It's like we're all complaining about it. We're all complaining about the government. We're all complaining about vaccines. It's like we've all been affected. So, what else you got?
That's about depression is I find that I'm not somebody that's ever gets in a depressive state, but I lost my house, my car, and my cat all in a day with this California Ventura fire a while back in 2017. And that's why I wrote the book. And I thought, oh my gosh, it was so subtle. I didn't even notice. And it was like, okay, now I'm not going to the gym. Now I'm not going out. Now I'm not talking to people now, and I'm in this terrible state. And of course the fire still burned for a month. And it was 2 weeks in that I realized I'm depressed. Holy smokes. I don't even know what depressed is, but this is it. This is it. And you don't even notice because it's so subtle sometimes. It's just.
Yeah, but that can be dangerous as well, because it can build up, and then it has a real, kind of a ripple effect to your, into your ecosystem, into your family and friends you don't even realize. And then, I think the ability to be objective, not subjective, to disassociate yourself and not be associated with it, that comes with practice.
Yeah.
The more you're exposed, the more, and being aware and having that ability to disassociate yourself from the situation and what you're actually going through. You are not your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is amazing. It is amazing. You know, our innate ability to be able to cope and to be able to bounce back and recreate ourselves.
Yes. So now I would love to hear some of your bucket list stories, some of your favorite bucket list stories.
Are you sure? What are we? Is this PG or is this X-rated? What is our?
We do have to be non-cussing here because we are on the radio and TV. Yes.
Oh, people want to do some weird stuff, and I guess I've done some weird stuff, but it's all relative. I don't know. What do you want to know about? I mean, I've done over 300 and whatever things, and got a heap more to go. It's all, you know, life's a journey.
Well, what's your favorite cup? Maybe one or two favorites that are PG-13.
Yeah. Well, probably, you know, like, I think thanks to Facebook reminders, I'm getting all of these, travel reminders of travels over the last,
yes.
And it's winter for us, or it's fall for us right now here in Australia. And so I'm getting all these European, US kind of summer Facebook memories. Thanks for nothing, Facebook. You're making our lives even worse.
Right.
I guess one of the things that it was when I first became the bucket list guy.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I'm adopted, so I didn't get along with my dad that well growing up. He's me, a serial entrepreneur. I've never really worked for anyone in my life, but him, he's a fitter and turner of wharfie, and in the unions, the whole bit, a man's man, and not a man of emotion. So he's a worker's worker, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. So our language growing up wasn't in tune with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to sort of go through life being like that with my dad. And so we did a walk that was actually on my bucket list in Southwest Australia, which is, deep, the southernmost town in Australia. It's this big, long walk. And when, you get dropped off by a plane. They say pack 8 to 15 days worth of food. Plane drops you in the middle of the forest, and then pisses off, and then you've got to walk back the Great South Coast Track in Southern Australia, and it's really cold and wet and the whole bit. And I did that walk with him, and at the end of it, just before we finished, and took us about 9 days. Because you've got to basically walk back to civilization. There's the southernmost town in Australia you end up at, a place called Cockle Creek. And I said, Dad, doing this walk with you was on my bucket list. And Dad, this is 10 years ago, and Dad kept walking. There was no father-son hug-it-out movie, Beverly Hills moment. Right. It was, and he just went, oh, yeah. He just kept walking. And I'm like, behind him going, come on, and still no love. And then we finished, we did some selfies, all that sort of thing, and he's gone, Trav, what's a bucket list? I said, oh mate, it's all the stuff you want to do before you die. And he turned around to me in that moment and he said, oh, this is, with a little tear, not a bit full tear, not of a man of a, and he said, oh, this has been effing special.
Nice. And
then we got on the bus back to the main city of that state. And he said, what else is on this bucket list of yours, Trav? And I said, oh, this is kind of what I'm doing. I sold out of all the personal training stuff that I was doing, sold off the gyms, defranchised the whole thing. And this is what I'm doing now, running around the world doing my bucket list. And he's like, wow, okay. Didn't get it. Still doesn't get it. But I said, I'll get back to you. About 6 months later, a friend of mine said, and he's a New Zealander, and they're all full-on mountaineers over there. And he said, Trav, I ride with Grant. And he said, Trav, I'm going to Mount Everest. I said, whoa, I'm a surfer. I'm not a mountaineer. Just take it easy. I said, no. What you can do, you can come along with us. We're going to the top. And what you can do is you can come into Tibet with us, and then come to the foot of Everest and come up to base camp. So I know base camp is one of the first things you ever wrote on your list to do before I die. which it was.
Yeah.
You can go to base camp, or you can go up to advanced base camp and peel off there, and we're going to go to the top. I said, oh my God, how much does that cost? And he gave me the figure, and I said, I can't afford that. And he goes, yeah, but you really want to go. You'll find a way. I know you will. So lo and behold, when the why is strong enough, the how will work itself out.
Yeah.
As it always does, right? And so I said, hey, Dad, yep. You know that bucket list thing we were talking about down in Tasmania? He said, yeah, I've been thinking about that lately. So once you pop, you can't stop. And I said, mate, we're going to Tibet. He's like, Trav, I won't swear, where the fuck is Tibet? Oh, I said, it's part of China. It's not part of China. It doesn't matter. The point is, we're going to Tibet and we're going to, Mount Everest base camp. He's gone, wow. Well, Trav, you do realise I've never been out of Australia before. And this is a guy who's 68. I said, exactly, mate. That's why we're going. So off we went through to Tibet. We went to advanced base camp, which was just absolutely amazing. And to go with my mate Grant was absolutely incredible. And to be at the foot of Mount Everest, to the highest point, a place called Crampon Point, which is the highest point in the world you can walk before, getting out the ice axes and going up to Mount Everest. Since then, Dad and I did the Kokoda track in Papua New Guinea. We did Machu Picchu. We did the Inca Trail on my 40th birthday. We ended up on Machu Picchu on the morning of my 40th birthday. We did Mount Kilimanjaro a few years ago and climbed that together. And now we're best mates.
Oh, that's so nice. That is wonderful. And it's such a gift of time to just go and do these things. And I think especially now getting back to nature is like, well, there's no restrictions there. You don't have to usually wear a mask up in the mountains or hiking or out in nature somewhere. You don't.
Look, and that's one of the, one of the probably more heartwarming stories. On the other side, I was a nude model for an art class, a life drawing model, and that was part of my bucket list as well. And that was horrifying.
That was horrifying. Why? You got embarrassed.
It was, I'm still going through therapy.
Oh, having to stand still that long, huh?
Not just having to stand still and people paint your bits.
Oh my! They all had different ideas.
Well, here's the thing. There's a couple of people watching, especially guys out there right now. If you're watching and listening to this right now, here's a couple of tips. Tip number one: don't do it. Don't do it in the middle of winter. True story.
Okay.
Number two: don't do it in the art studio that's next to the coffee shop where you get coffee every single morning. Where the gay barista just so happens to love art too, doesn't he? And so let's just say from then on, I got a little bit more sugar in my coffee, if you know what I mean. And number third tip there is make sure you're the only person doing the life drawing for the night. On the night, you're the only model.
Right. So
here I was, awkwardly derobed in front of like about 12, 15 people, with their easels out. They didn't give a shit, they didn't care. So they, they're all in art mode. It's all about my stuff. So I'm about 5 minutes into my thing, awkwardly, doing and then this, I'm heterosexual. This younger, hotter girl walks in. I'm like, all right, cool. She's going to sit down, get behind an easel, paint me. No. She took all of her clothes off and stood right next to me. And I'm like, oh, dear. Monkey mind is saying, don't look. Right. Other brain took over and went, oh, no. So this could get interesting. So let's just say, how I said before, I've studied a lot of psychology, positive psychology, NLP. I just had to channel all of that stuff too, quote unquote, talk it down, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Oh, wow. Well, that's something. So guys listening in, if you're going to go do modeling, think about that.
Yeah.
Check that out first. That's great.
So there's two extremes of stories there for you.
Yes, those are fun. So, and then you have this whole coaching program now where you're helping people start their own bucket lists.
Yeah, look, we've as I said, I've stayed in this lane, and as you know, in business, it's pretty hard to stay in a lane as a serial entrepreneur. But the last 10 years, I've been the bucket list guy, and I've done the TED talk, I've done the book. There it is, and it's helped a lot of people. So and about 3.5 years ago, I gave a speech down in South Africa to a company called Action Coach. They're a big global business coaching franchise. I did the job down there. They're in about 70 countries. The founder said, "Have you ever thought about, allowing other people to teach you stuff?" And I'm like, went into scarcity mode. No, this is my thing. It's like, you want to help people, don't you? And I said, yeah. And he said, all right, well, let's talk about, bucket list coach. And then next minute, we've set up a business, and now we've got certified bucket list coaches teaching this stuff around the world in 22 countries around the world. And I'm CEO of that business as well. So they're teaching my stuff, and we've got bucket list for kids programs, and we've got corporate programs. So it's really cool to see the message, which is pretty much a positive psychology message, and positive psychology is really about helping people experience more meaning, purpose, and fulfillment, more gratitude in their life, and doing more of that, and going to their strengths and doing more of that, both in work and in life. And we've just put this, bucket list brand over the top of it, right? And so, it's crazy to think that, this is now helping people around the world. And we've even got bucket list coaches in countries where if you translate the word bucket list, it makes no sense at all. You still get it though, which is really cool.
Yes. And it's something that's so important. Now, I was really fortunate. At one point in my life, when I have 6 children, I adopted three of my own. And so they started to be teens and above. And so the youngest two got to go with me, but I traveled the world full time for 7 years straight. And I had a blast. Talk about bucket list.
With kids. With kids.
With the 2 teens, and we did all the events and Tony events and everybody else's, and learned and traveled and got to meet people, stayed with the month in India and went to Dubai and all over the UK. And it was awesome. The best.
Wow.
Now, unfortunately, my youngest son had a heart condition. So this right before our pandemic, he did pass away in his sleep. It was Parkinson White. And all I can tell you is all of us, thank you. And all of us in the family, we came together, we had our time, and we still have our moments, obviously, with holidays and everything. But I can't tell you how thankful I am that we said, F the rules. We don't give a flying duck about all that. We're going to take time off. They did online learning. They learned more, and they
100%.
experienced the world. And we were aware since 5th grade that he had this condition. So it was such a thing. What if we just stayed afraid at home? What if we just we wouldn't have had?
That's a gift.
Yeah, it was a gift of time, family time, and fun, and it was wonderful. So in life, we don't know what's next or what's going to happen, and to just be able to get that list out and start making that list happen in your life.
What's easy to do is easy not to do, and we let the smallest of excuses become overwhelming obstacles. And I don't know. I really hope, Sheila, that this pandemic has taught us to get out of our own way, and once the doors are really open, we can really go for it. And I think people have really hopefully don't go back to their default. They start really intentionally designing. That's why I wrote the book. It's designed as a guide. It's designed as a way for people to take time out of their lives to work on their lives, and not just be busy being busy, because it's like this weird badge of honor that we use on a day-to-day basis now. How are you, mate? Oh, I'm busy as a one-armed drummer. It's like, oh, dude, what are you doing? Bragging or complaining? It's not good. Right. So we need to take time out of our life, and really, Sheila, do you know what this is?
A pen.
Yeah. Do you know what this stuff is here? That's a
And paper.
yeah. So it does this crazy thing, like when you actually put one on top of the other and do this, it does this thing called writing.
Yes, writing.
You'd be surprised how many people don't write stuff down. Now, I'm being facetious here, of course, but at the end of the day, guys, your bucket list is up there with your daily to-do list. And guess which one gets done first on a day-to-day basis? It's your daily to-do list. But it's not until something dramatic or traumatic happens to you or a loved one, example, that you suddenly reprioritize. You know, what are you waiting for? What are we all waiting for? For another person to get critically ill, for another person in our ecosystem to pass away. How many more reminders do you need in order for you to get off your butt, write down a list? And again, what's easy to do is easy not to do. Get it out of your head, extract it, articulate it, write it down. Yeah, sure. Use this as a guide because that's what it's designed to do. Write in it, abuse that book, dog ear the book, go for it. But at the end of the day, when it's out, it's a funny thing that happens. The universe then conspires to make the path more visible.
Yes.
You know, and where there is a will, there's a way. And when you really when the why is strong enough, the how will work itself out. But a lot of people don't even write stuff down because they're afraid of disappointing themselves. They're afraid that they've done it in the past and they haven't done it with, full intention. So I think now is a great time to, recalibrate on that.
Writing it down. And that's something, it just solidifies this kinesthetic action of writing. It solidifies things. When you schedule it, it becomes real. How can we honor these appointments with everybody else and not have an appointment with ourselves or our family
100%.
or whatever? And so that's so important. And I think I work with a lot of moms and business women, and they're like always at the bottom of their own list. They got all the kids and they got the work.
Oh,
and you got
mums are the
got to do all this stuff, and then it's like, and you don't fill yourself up again. You stop playing. You get married, and it's like now you can't go play anymore. You can't go do a sport or horseback riding or swimming because you've got all this work to do, or your arts or your music. And that's the first thing I always have them do is go do that one thing.
People are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. Yes.
Very true.
The thing is, when people say, oh, no, I can't do that because of, time, money, excuse, yep, heard them all. I flip it and I say, okay, well, how are you showing up as a leader in your life to show your kids the example of what a true, fun, adventurous, free-spirited, going after her goals, independent example? What does that actually look like? Or are you a bitching, complaining, life's tough, scarcity mentality rather than abundance kind of mentality kind of person? What sort of example are you showing to the people around you? It's not what you say, it's how you're showing up. Now, if you question yourself and go, you know what, I'm not showing up as my best example. Well, this bucket listing and writing stuff down and going after it is not selfish. It's self-leadership. Yes. It's being the example of what self-leadership really looks like. It's not selfish.
Exactly. Now that will affect if you're managing a group of people, running a team, working with, it doesn't matter your position in a company, it will show up at work. It will affect everyone around you.
Oh, the ripple effect is huge.
Yes. It affects your children so much. When I started traveling before the kids started coming with me, that first year, I would send pictures and videos, and I was afraid of heights. I was afraid to fly. Then I started flying. Then I was afraid to heights. Then I started climbing poles and doing all this crazy stuff. And I'd send pictures. Then I took flying lessons from someone that was terrified. And I sent this to my kids, and it would just show up that they would overcome their fear, whatever that. And it was we all have our own things.
They're reflecting.
Exactly. And it was like, oh my gosh, if I didn't do that, they would be stuck.
Yeah, we've
So,
got to get out of our own way. We've got to get out of our own way and be the example for others to follow.
mm,
And I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that with my kids as well. And yeah, like versus the alternative, and as kids as well, right? Like you just want your parents to be happy, fun, have an adventurous and no regrets life too, right?
definitely, definitely. Now, when you were younger, what did you, as a young, like when you go way back, 10 years old or something like that, what did you think you were going to do when you grew up? What was
Oh
your
my
goal?
God. Well, that's a great question. No idea. I wanted to work. I wanted to initially. I wanted to work in the fisheries and wildlife, and work in there, But then I discovered I was allergic to most animals,
Huh.
so that doesn't help. and but No, I was always as you say in America, a jock. So I've grown up as a surfer, as a swimmer,
Mm.
surf lifesaving, lifeguarding and stuff. So I'm literally I'm looking over the beach right now, and where I grew up, and so I've always been a water baby. So that led me into doing a physical education degree, which is what I did at university, and that's what got me into doing personal training, essentially. So I guess something in health and fitness, maybe a phys ed teacher or something like that. But
Okay.
then phys ed teaching, I realised that in my third year of uni, I was one of the first personal trainers here in Melbourne, in Australia, sort of getting around and running a mobile personal training business, and I was making more money in personal training than any teacher I knew by the third year of uni. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm going to stay with this rather than going to teaching. But essentially, I feel like I'm a teacher now in
Yes.
in a different format. So
Wow.
always love helping others. Others realize their own potential. That's what I've really fallen in love with. And I was a kids swimming teacher there for a little bit for beer money during uni.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I always love seeing kids, go beyond themselves and stuff, which is, essentially a micro version or a reflection of what I went through when I was younger.
Yes, yes. So there were, it sounds like, I mean, you love nature and animals, and now you're traveling the world and doing all these crazy things. You love to teach. I mean, it all fit in, even though you couldn't like say, I'm going to do the bucket list. I'm going to be the bucket list guy, but it kind
No,
of
no,
fit very well. That's great.
no. Well, when I became the bucket list guy, someone actually called me the bucket list guy, like I said before. And that night I went home and registered the bucketlistguy.com because the whole online world was starting too. Tim Ferriss had just come out with his 4-hour work week. And that just, I had all these bricks and mortar kind of businesses with gyms and commercial leases and big square
Yeah.
meterage places. And I'm like, oh, and Tim's running his thing from a hammock in Thailand. I'm thinking,
Right.
now that's sexy. That's freedom. And I
Exactly.
hadn't done a lot of travel. So, and I knew I wanted to help people. And I love being a coach essentially, but,
Mhm.
speaking, which was kind of like, and still is, coaching one to many, was where it's at for me. So, that whole online thing, was, for me, I mean, around that time when I was trying to sort myself out, I did a values alignment as well, which is what you do in coaching. And I worked out what my values were, and I went, what's that saying? Choose a career that you love, and you never work a day in your life.
Yes.
Well, I've worked my ass off, and
Yeah.
and and I don't know where that statement comes from, but I don't believe it. I don't believe. I love what I do. I love my career. I love my what I've chosen, but I've worked.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, some hippie said it once. But at the end of the day, when I think the holy grail is working out what your values are, um, and being in alignment with that, being in alignment with what you do on a day-to-day basis with your vocation, and being in alignment with that what you do, outside of work.
Yeah.
And so I say a bucket list is a tangible life plan, and it always has been for me. And your business plan or your career plan should fit into your life plan and not be the other way around.
Right.
And should, when optimized, it should spit out the two resources that we all work for, and should spit out the cash flow and the time flow to allow you to do the things on your bucket list, your life plan. But the double bonus, getting back to your question, is that if you can pick a vehicle that doesn't do your head in on a day-to-day basis, you love what you do, and it's servicing your values, it's a reflection of your values, and you're of service to your community, you're of service to the world in some form or another, I think that's the holy grail. Yes. You love what you do, and it's getting you the cash flow and the time flow that you need, for you and your family. So I can say that, and it took a bit of time to sort out, but I wouldn't have stayed in this lane of being the bucket list guy for 10 years if I wasn't congruent with it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, 89% of Americans are what they call disengaged at work. 89% of people who go to work every day in America and don't like they're just not into what they're doing. They just get the paycheck, come home. That's sad.
That is sad.
And they're waiting for someday, the perfect time or retirement, and often that time gets cut short. So there's a lot of people living, regretful lives rather than regret-free lives.
Yes. And there are times in life where, for myself, I've had to roll up my sleeves and do something I didn't love. And then I would go volunteer at something I did love, or somehow get it to be where I was somehow contributing, so that at the end of the day, I go to sleep and I know I did my best, and I made it fun, or I made it happy, or I made someone else happy on this planet somehow and contributed. And that makes a big difference. So sometimes we have to do that, and that's okay too. Find ways to get involved.
Yeah, and I think what the pandemic has caused a lot of people to do, and apparently I don't know the exact stats, so I'll butcher them if I try. So many people have started side hustles in the last 12 to 18 months, and you'd know that from your community. So many people have started their side hustles, and I dare say, and I call it like this, we've got a have to job and a love to job. Mm-hmm. And it's that, and they're on the teeter-totter, right? And it's there's the have to up here, and it's the love to down here. And what we've got to gently do over time is try and switch it. Get some cash flow and you love to, bring it up, get flexibility and you have to, get some cash flow and you love to, and then slowly but surely find more and more flexibility, work from home a little bit more, which is kind of what we're forced to do, bring some cash flow up to the point where there's going to be this tipping point where you go, you know what, there's enough security coming in, if I can pay the bills and I love to, and then flip it over. Definitely. And I can then drop out of my have to. But where people stuff it up is they go, I hate what I'm doing so much. I'd love to do this. I'm going to quit and go like that, and realize that failed because they've got no foundation laid.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. So now we're coming to the end of our talking time. So I'd love for you to share where people can reach you, how they can get your book, sign up for your program.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they can go to thebucketlistguy.com. If they want to check out Bucket List Coach, you can go to bucketlistcoach.com. If they want to grab a book, thebucketlistguy.com/book, and I'll autograph a book and send it over wherever you are in the world, or go to Amazon and, go from there.
All right. Thank you again, Trav, for being a guest on the show. And for those tuning in, we'll be back after these messages. Stay tuned.
Thanks, Sheila.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I have a couple of announcements. First, I would like to hear from you. That's right. I would love to hear from you. to be honest. I want to know what your breakthrough is, what your reboot is. How are you reinventing and rebooting your life? What shows would you like to hear more of? What information do you need to help you get back on track this year? And to do that, the best way to connect with me is actually through my new YouTube channel, and that is Sheila Mac Show on YouTube. And there you can see past recordings, and you can also see other information and shares that I have. And I would love for you to share in the comments there what you're needing more of and what you're rebooting this year and how we can help you get back on track. Welcome to Dear Sheila, answering real questions with real solutions to help reboot your life. My career got taken out. How do I reinvent my work life? Dear Sheila, after dedicating my time and life to a company this year, after 22 years, my employer went out of business. Now I'm struggling to start over again, reinvent my life, and figure out how to step into a similar career. I'm very qualified yet close to retirement age, and it seems impossible to find any wage that matches my experience. My question is, what can I do at the age of 53 to restart in the work world while not burning out? Signed, Jobless at 50-something. Dear Jobless at 50-something, this is definitely the time for rebooting and reinventing your career and life on your terms. Often in the case of having to start over in a career, some reinvention is necessary. With your experience and connections in the field, you can use this time as an opportunity to design your work and life. Let's run this situation through the BOOTS formula. Throughout life, one can find themselves facing a difficult situation that often catches them by surprise. Over the years, I saw the patterns in all the times I've had to reboot, and in how I've helped my friends and clients get through a hard time and quickly back into action. Ultimately, I came up with the BOOTS formula. The B in the BOOTS formula is for being. It is about who you are being and all you are doing and who you need to be in this situation. You are going to have to be authentic and creative with how you design your new work life. At this point in your career, you may be the exact person to advise and help a new business get started. Write out a perfect day at your new dream job. What would that day look like? Would you be an advisor in a similar position or an entrepreneur? Who are you being in this vision? Being honest about who you must be in your search is key. The O in the BOOTS formula is for orientation. To get the outcomes you desire, you must be honest here. It is not better than it is, nor is it worse than it is. It simply is what it is. Make a list of your resources. Who do you know in the industry, similar industries, and what are your former coworkers doing? Again, be really honest about your outcomes, the outcomes you want. The next O in the BOOTS formula is for order of operations. Now that you know who you need to be and your orientation, you can decide in which order you must do things. You may need to take on part-time work. Be okay with that and proud of yourself for moving forward. If you do take an in-between position, do not stop applying to the dream job. In the long run, the order in which you do things is going to really drive your results. The T in the BOOTS formula is for thinking. This is where your mindset comes in. Stop waiting for the perfect new position to show up before you're happier. Choose to live in a grateful and happy state now and in each step in this process. When you go in for interviews or build your own company, your new employer or client will feel your energy. Be so proud of yourself for stepping up and designing your new work life. You will find as you choose your happiness now and express your truth and essence, the position that you are seeking will find you. The S in the BOOTS formula is for stepping up. This is the part that puts all the other pieces you have planned into place and gets you and your work life back into action. The time is now for us to collectively work together to rebuild this year. My hope is that this video series and my new book Bootstraps and Bra Straps helps. In my book and on my website, I provide plenty of free resources for anyone dealing with a rock bottom situation to reinvent and reboot their business and personal life. If you have a question for Dear Sheila, message me at www.sheilamac.com. As always, I wish you life, love, laughter, and light. In each person's lifetime, there will be a series of waves of rock bottom events. These times are when your identity needs a reboot. These are the sacred and historic times that offer you a chance to reinvent and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I hope that your life is always blessed and that you will never need a guide. However, if you need help, accountability, community, and connection, along with a rock-solid reboot plan, then my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, will be like having me by your side. It is now available on Audible, Amazon, Kindle, and includes a free mini online course, meditation, plus 11 additional guided application workbooks. Grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. Bootstraps and Bra Straps, now available on Amazon, Audible, and wherever fine books are sold. And now a message from our sponsor. And I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's show, King of the World podcast. Although it's been 20 years since the events of 9/11, many of us can still remember it like it was yesterday. America and the world has never been the same. From Rafaelian Media, the King of the World podcast series explores the many repercussions of the day for the American Muslim community through the journey of host Shah Jahan Khan, a high school senior at the time. Follow his story along the major headlines, as well as hearing directly from folks who might help you understand what the hell happened on that day and in the years that followed. This 7-part series delves into September 11th in a unique and accessible way, covering topics like identity, belonging, mental health, and addiction alongside the related events of the last 20 years, including Islamophobia, the war on terror, surveillance, media representation, and resilience. King of the World, an American Muslim story told by American Muslims.